In a previous video, I showed how to throw the squared and the flowered altered bowls, and in this video I'm going to show how to trim. Now, when you're trimming something that is square or altered in some way, one of the easiest ways to do it, I find, is on a chum. So I have some clay here that is a little bit stiffer than maybe the more plastic clay that I would often throw with. It's stiffer because it's going to be made into a chum, and the chum needs to be stiff enough that it can hold the piece upside down. So you can see that I'm doming the piece, and I'm doming it so the bowl will be able to fit over the outside of it. Now, once it's domed, then I will rib off all slip. We don't want any slip at all on the exterior because the bowl would end up by getting stuck. I like to put a few reference lines to help make sure that I'm getting it nice and level. I had thrown a couple more lines there. And this is the flowered bowl. So when I put that on there, I want to get it level. So that's why I kind of got my eyes down level with it. It's easier to see that way. Now before I start trimming this, I should have mentioned where I'm going to be placing the foot ring. The foot ring is always placed underneath the angle change that happens on the inside. So when you look at the square bowl, where the side transitions from base to side, that's where I'm going to be putting the foot ring. So you can see on that one, I'm going to be pulling it in probably a ½ inch on either side. And then on this one, it's, I did not show you the interior, but I'm taking off probably a ½ inch. Now the most important thing is to brace your hands. Notice that my hands are locked. My left hand is braced on the bottom of the pot, pushing down. That helps to keep the pot stable on the chum so it doesn't fall off. I start with the exterior of the foot ring, trimming that, and then I'm trying to make the contour of the outside of the bowl match what's happening on the inside of the bowl. I do like to rib down because what I'm using here is clay that has grog in it, and if you rib it down it will compress the grog so you don't get that weird groggy surface. Now I'm doing the inside of the foot ring, and again I'm going straight down. As long as you go straight down, then the two sides of the foot ring should be parallel. The inside and outside should be even. I trim the interior almost flat. It's just a little bit rounded. It goes up on the outer parts. And then I'm going to compress the foot ring itself. The foot ring needs to be compressed to compress down any grog so it won't scratch. And then just wiggle it off and it pops right off. Now, for the other bowl, you can see that that is wider. The square one was a little bit wider. So I need to readjust the chum some to make the chum a little lower and wider, not quite as tall and narrow. I want to make sure that the pot will fit over it and be snug. And then after I have the diameter the way I like, then I'm going to rib off the extra slip before I put the lines on there. And once that's ribbed, then again, I'm going to kind of get my eyes down with it and try to make that level on the lines. Kind of snug it in there. Make sure that it's not leaning one side or the other, or it will be uneven. And again, my hands are pressing on the bottom of the pot. My hands are locked together. I go straight down to do the outside of the foot ring. I often hold the tool with two hands. Like sometimes I'll actually brace, like right there, my finger was braced against the tool. And then, I try to be careful not to trim all the way down to where I have the alterations, because if you trim down to a bump, you're going to have a noticeable kind of a texture there. Now I'm doing the interior, again, straight down, for the outside of the foot ring, and you can always round your foot ring if you have a slight imperfection on it. Just round the edges of it so it's not a real sharp foot ring. Then compress the foot ring, a little bit of water. You can use your finger or rib. And there we go. That's doing the square bowl. Now, there is one other method that I wanted to show you. So the Giffin Grip is what I often use with my students to trim their pieces. And a Giffin Grip, you can see it has 3 sliders. Now when you have something like this that is 6-sided, the sliders will work fine because it can, since 6 is divisible by 3, you can get it on there symmetrically and hold it nice and even. When you get to the circumstance of the square, though, if you try to put the square on, you can see that it looks uneven. It's off-centered. So this is the case where you might want to use the flex sliders. Now the flex sliders are designed where each of them can move independently, and you adjust it to hold perhaps an asymmetrical piece more in the center. So I'm visually trying to adjust these so the pot base looks like it's going to be more in the center. It just takes a moment to do, but once you do it, it holds it nice and securely. I have another video on this, trimming a heart bowl, which is very asymmetrical, of course. If you're interested in these flex sliders, I'll put a link to the Giffin Grip and the flex sliders in the video description. So you can check that out along with my Amazon links.